How's your Saturday so far? Yeah? Momento Con 2021, we finally made it. Are you guys having a great weekend? Yes? One more time, are you guys having a great weekend? All right, our next two guests are backstage, and they are super sweet and hilarious. Please welcome to the stage David Haydn-Jones and Adam Fergus. Come on out. Come on, keep coming up here.
I know, you're not wrong.
I
That is
did
a lot.
say it was a long journey to the
Look
stage.
at this stage.
But it's like my living room
Why don't
here.
you lie on the couch and we'll do a group therapy
Okay, yeah.
for Adam
So,
Fergus.
Go ahead.
so there I
There
was.
we go.
And I don't know.
Actually, this is a great place for you to start, Adam, because you probably do need therapy. You just had twins, right?
I just had twins, so I'm just gonna have a little sleep.
Tell us about the how new are they?
They're 3 weeks old.
Oh my
they're
gosh.
4 weeks old. They're a month old on Monday and Tuesday. But the interesting thing was, Juno and Maud is their names. Maud was born at 11:59 on Monday the 9th, and Juno was born at midnight, or the very beginning, 0000, on Tuesday the 10th. So they have different birthdays.
Oh my gosh! So what are you guys have you and your wife figured out what you're gonna do about that?
Yeah, well, it's so ironic that it happened because Haley was adamant, because they were fraternal, they're not identical, that to kind of keep their individual, keep them individual. And nothing is more individual than having your own birthday as a twin. So it's kind of like, so we'll celebrate that fact. It probably, practically, it's probably not going to work as well as we think. Having two parties, one on a Monday, one on a Tuesday.
Gonna have two
Let me
parties.
tell you what's gonna happen. Which one is the older one?
Huh?
Which one is the older one?
Maud.
Okay, so Maud's always gonna get the much better party.
Yeah.
More. And then the next one is the forgotten
Yeah,
twin.
it's but it's incredible. I did feel a little bit guilty coming all the way over here, but and then I jokingly said to my wife as I was leaving, I said, I'm going to get 4 days of fucking awesome sleep. Of course, jet lag put a stop to that last night at about 3 a.m. So she has the last laugh, But it's been amazing. They're so well behaved. They're all they do is sleep and eat and shit.
Just lay there and
I did have a projectile shit. That was the first thing. Not me. I didn't have it. I received it. Well, not this time. Anyway.
That's not what you were saying last
story.
night.
I received it. I was changing Juno at 4 a.m. One night. And the thing is, you try and keep it dark so that she doesn't fully wake up. So it's kind of dark, and I'm changing the nappy, and I kind of lean down to the diaper bin, and as I come back up, it's just like. It's kind of. I felt like it was a baptism of fire.
You have to put it on the list.
I do.
It's just one of those trials of a new parent that just here I am.
Yeah,
You've arrived.
Yeah.
here you are.
This echo is so trippy to me. Can I just do something? Because this is going to be the last chance I'm going to have to be on a mic with this much echo. To sound like a rock star.
Go for it.
Pittsburgh, let me hear ya! And also, anyone know the reference? I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. You know that famous? It's at the, there you go.
All right.
There's my fun with echoes.
Are you satisfied?
You can tune in on the Discovery
Just
Channel
one
this season.
small step for man.
Yeah.
One.
I consider myself.
Well, first of all, yes, you will get some sleep. Welcome. And thank you guys for joining. It must be amazing. It feels amazing to me to be back at a convention, at a live event, and with the Supernatural family. This show is so much more than just a TV show. And I'm curious, when each of you auditioned and came in the later half of the show, did you know anything about Supernatural? Were you watching it? Were you not watching it?
No.
What kind of research did you do before you went in to read for your characters?
Well, I had a friend who I did a TV show with in Toronto. I did her audition tape, and she did 2 episodes of Supernatural. So that's how I first found out about it. And then my other buddy, Mark Ralston, he was in it as well. So and obviously the show was so big, it's always there in the ether. I hadn't seen it, but I knew about it. And then I suppose in preparation for the characters, it was quite interesting because, do you want to take? So it's kind of we both expected the roles that we were auditioning for to be the opposite of what they actually were. So
Yeah, it was fun because
I thought I was going to be more of a Ketch character, and he thought he was going to be more of a Mick character. And the way that was written, they kind of flipped it on its head, which is the insane gift of the writers.
And obviously, we only know this in retrospect because we didn't know you were on the show before I was on the show.
Yeah.
You had gotten a hint of there might be this guy called Ketch because you talk about him, right? But you don't know who he is.
It's at the end of
it was still a mystery for you. But they're still just doing the hand inserts, right? Like all the hand and tool and all that stuff. Yeah. So they're still kind of building out the character too. But to your first part of the question, then we'll segue together about like the audition process. I was still, it's funny you said, oh, the last half of the show. You mean like the last fifth of the show? Like that's what's amazing about this TV series is, so I was living in a roommate. I was still an up and coming actor in LA. I still had 3 part-time jobs. And my roommate, who's a big geek, I say this in the most loving way, big geek, Renaissance Fair, Comic-Con guy, gamer, this was his show. And so I would come home from like a job or something, and he'd be watching Supernatural, and I would sit with him every once in a while, and be like, oh, this is kind of fun, this is interesting, da-da-da-da-da-da. So that's like season 1, 2, and 3. But I didn't follow the show with him. But then if you're in the entertainment industry, you kind of have to know a little bit about every show that's going on, like what the tone is, you know, you research a little bit, and then you move on. Then I had established myself in Vancouver a little bit like the mid-2000s, maybe like 2010, 2012. So then, of course, I started getting, I think I got 5 guest star opportunities, like Hunter and Monster of the Week, this kind of thing. I didn't get any of them, obviously.
Thank God.
Or I wouldn't be here. Well, it's a great lesson for actors too. You know, like we want all the jobs all the time, but sometimes you get the job that you're meant to get. Yeah. So, in a huge way, I'm so glad I never got booked on Supernatural before.
Well, because you ended up playing one of the most iconic roles in the show over 300. Well, you know, it's
or
like
most hated or most. Yeah.
Well, from my perspective, most hated. Yeah.
Well, for sure.
Exactly.
You know.
But the funny
you
thing
don't forgive
is,
someone shooting you in the back of the head.
So to tie that whole story together, you know, then I moved out and, you know, I had a relationship and, you know, we parted ways, we stayed friends. But I didn't tell my friend, my roommate, that I was on Supernatural.
Did you just forget?
So I just was like, I'm going to let this play out.
Oh, surprise him.
Best text message ever. Dave, what is happening? Why are you in my show? What the WTF?
That is awesome.
Amazing. It was just kind of a beautiful full circle.
That's a lot of restraint too as an actor, because when you get a role, especially something on Supernatural, you want to be like, I'm now on the show.
Yeah. But I think what overrides that is my love of a good practical joke. Yeah.
I hear
just to let it reveal itself.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was fun.
Exactly. Adam, did you know anything?
No, and I suppose the audition process was weird for this one because, you know, we all know this. Like as actors, you sometimes don't get called for the first round of auditions. Whatever they pick their people that they want, and then they audition them, and then they whittle it down to like 6 or 7 people. And whatever happened, I didn't audition for it the first time around, and then the night before everyone else's callback. Right. I got a phone call from my agent saying, will you go in for this thing? And it's funny, like, you know, I compare it now to acting when it becomes not the most important thing in your life. You know what I mean? Like when you know, if you're preparing for a massive audition, you can over-prepare and you can put yourself in this real kind of box. And then sometimes when you don't have the opportunity to over-prepare, you kind of just go in very breezy, very loose, and it was like one of the best auditions I've ever done. It just felt so easy, right? Yeah. And I just knew when you I didn't know I'd gotten the part, but I just knew I'd done a good job. So, and it's funny because I realized I was just working on a show last month in Ireland, and I came in for the last 2 episodes of the show, and it's with that wonderful Jane Seymour. Remember Dr. Quinn, the medicine woman? But my wife was almost almost having the kids, and my mind was elsewhere. And I just found my performance was so much better because you're not putting any of that pressure on yourself that you do, especially starting out as an actor.
You know, as 3 actors here, there's such a sweet spot of over-shanking and under-preparing, and just enough, and then being present and letting it go. Like it's such a... Anyways, we don't want to talk too nerdy shop talk, but
it's magic when it happens.
Yeah, when you own the room. But did you go in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
You did.
See, in the studio, I think.
And you went to the room at like, there was like, you had the old school.
All the producers.
Because here's the thing, auditioning has totally changed in the pandemic too, by the way. So self-tape was already happening, and now like, so I'm just kind of curious, this feels like an old-fashioned story. Were there actual humans in the room, Adam Fergus? At a studio?
Was there a ring
crikey,
light?
that sounds dandy.
Yeah.
I have adapted to the new way of auditioning, though.
No,
like,
you have to. Yeah, you have to.
You have to.
You have to get good at it.
So, when did you find out that you were going to actually have your storylines converge and you were going to, you know,
I remember that day. We were out in the woods.
do that thing?
Yes.
It was one scene.
You had
But
like
they don't tell you. Remember, I don't know how it was for you. How much they keep a lid on where you're going. Like you find out the next script.
Yeah.
So I was finding out basically where I was going, where you were going, where this was going, like the one script before, honestly.
Yeah.
So you had to kind of make informed choices, and then we had rapport instantly, which was really nice. We had good friendship and chemistry and a good laugh, and we were out in the woods in the rain with the Bentley.
Yeah.
And it was the scene where
It was myself, Misha,
and Sam. You know that scene with the Bentley where they're going to go get the boys out of jail, the weird, crazy federal jail? So that's the first scene we shot together.
Yep.
And it was like, oh, we're the British men of letters. We have fancy helicopters and tools. Let's go, crikey, tip, pip, pip, and all that.
And you can't really, as you were saying, you can't put yourself into too tight a spot with it because like you've got to be free because change happens all the time.
But that's where you also realize you can only play this scene right here, right now. And what are the actual, because we don't need to know all that actually, technically. We need to deliver information because we were basically like Shakespearean delivery people at that point. We have a service. Would you like, no, literally, we're like, here's a service for you. Would you like to buy it?
Yeah.
Great, crikey, let's go. Huzzah.
Well, yeah. And then I suppose your character kind of grew into something bigger than that though, like, you know?
Like, I was only booked for 3. I didn't even know, like, it was, and then that was the other thing. They just kept expanding and expanding, and then I was like, oh, okay, fun. But then you get into this process where Adam and I were talking about it. You were in season 12. You're like, oh man, I'm getting like a 4th, a 5th episode. This is exciting. What's happening here? Yeah. And then I would be like, the first thing I do, and again,
skip to the back page.
You remember paper scripts? You remember books? I would actually get the thing, and I would go right to the end. I'm like, am I dead? Am I dead? Am I dead?
Am I still alive?
Yeah, you're like, I'm still alive to be continued. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was doing that for the first 6 episodes, and then the 7th, my agent called me, and she goes, like, she didn't sugarcoat anything, this woman. She was just like straight up, by the way, you die at the end of this episode. And I thought, oh, okay, cool. So I skipped to the end of the episode, and then, you know, you kind of...
And I texted you, too.
Yeah,
was that on the same day? I was like, buddy, I'm so sorry. No, and I remember saying
I didn't realize it was him.
Oh, yeah.
Because you text me, and I was like, I haven't read it yet. And then I get to it, and I said, oh, you didn't actually let me know that it was you that fucking kills me.
Well, what? And I remember specifically saying to you, they're gonna fucking hate me.
Yeah.
Like, there's people who still come up to the table, I will never forgive you for shooting Mick in the back of the head. Or even better, when they say, shooting Mitch in the back of the head. And then I'm like, how much did you really care about him? You don't even know his name.
Yeah.
Relax.
Mitch Davis.
Mitch Davis.
That's what he's coming back as. He's coming back as Mitch. Oh, you can't say that anymore because the show's not on anymore.
Oh.
Is this our first convention since the show finished?
Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
That's even weirder. We didn't get to properly mourn and celebrate, so hopefully we'll be able to like have this delayed gratification. And that's the weird too. Like the ending had to go through all the rewrites and reshoots due to the border and the COVID restrictions too. So, that's a weird thing that we have to deal with, is that it wasn't exactly what everyone wanted it to be due to like just so many different moving parts, and that's making movies and TV, right?
Yeah.
Adapting.
Yeah. Look, and it was a shame because it's like it seems like it's such an iconic show, deserves to have the swan song it deserved, basically.
Yeah.
But
that's what these are for, and that's what's pretty amazing about this fandom is like,
it's true.
You still get to, ply the riches. And I just love hearing people who just know it so well. They've done rewatch parties and watched it so much on streaming, and they know it inside out, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. I know you guys have questions, so you can line up at the mics in the aisles and just be cognizant of keeping a little distance between yourself.
I'll do some jumping jacks because I am going to fall asleep.
Well, Adam, speaking of like endings with Mick, like what would you have liked to have seen for the character that you didn't get to explore?
him having eyes in the back of his head would be a great start.
It's a good start.
You know, it's funny because Mick had a great arc. Like, you know, it was a short, small arc. It was only 7 episodes, but it was quite complete. Like, he started out and like he had a purpose, and I think, you know, he got what the Winchesters were doing very early on. Like, you know, he understood it and he bought into their philosophy and really was kind of, I think he would have done what he could to join forces with them if he hadn't been shot in the head. Like, you know, he would have, I'm gonna keep saying that. But he, and so I think he was on the supernatural side of things rather than the British Men in Letters. He was on the Winchester side. So, and he had the whole, you know, I keep calling it Hendrix because of the gin, but it's Kendricks.
Kendricks.
You know, the same kind of crazy upbringing that Ketch had, but kind of, he was more of a, how would you call it? He was more well-read. He was less of a...
Well, an independent thinker, I would think.
Yeah.
Because I think Ketch was a brainwashed ideologue, whereas you were sort of an administrative, curious guy who wanted to see much more collaboration. Right?
Yeah. Well, we were all brainwashed, but I think
but you were able to see the nuance.
Yeah.
Whereas Ketch
refused to see it.
Programmed and black and white, and this is the job. This is
Straightforward.
So like he had a great arc, and I would. It's funny because you do a show, and you know, as actors, you always just love to work, and then you find a show like this it's such a great family, and everyone get on really well, and the fun on set, which we always talk about, the fun on set is crazy, but it's always taken so. The work is taken so seriously, so it's like a dream job that you can get.
Well,
so for that reason alone, I just wanted to keep doing it and doing it. You know?
And just that beautiful phrase of like, you take the work seriously, but you don't take yourself seriously.
Yeah.
And the whole cast from the top down, obviously Jensen and Jared. Do you know who those guys are, right? And you've heard about their jokes.
Yes,
but they just create such a warm, lovely camaraderie at the top, and it all comes down from there. And then you had a splash of Misha, and I unfortunately didn't get to work with Mark that much, or Mark Shepard. Yeah. We crossed paths. Because, you know, there were some scenes written with Ketch and Crowley, which I would have died to have played, but, you know, they never made it. But, it's just so nice to be able to show up. Whatever your job is, isn't it nice to just show up to work at a place you like?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's just start there.
And rare.
Let's just start there, and then get to make some like magic fantasy monster killing shit. Let's get there.
Well, hi, we're ready to kick off our questions. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So my question is for both of you. Is there a favorite scene or episode that you liked filming the most?
I know David loves the word favorite.
Yeah, I always say this. The favorite is the hardest word I deal with because it's like picking one of my children. It's like, you know, like it's just, I love this moment. I love this moment. It's like, I always say my favorite moment is my moment right now, like live in the now, and then love it. But I think for me, what was the most fun and challenging stuff was I really loved to do the fights. Yeah. I mean, the choreography, because I come from a dance background too, and it was so fun to just get the rhythm and the dance and the work with such great fight coordinators, and then the trust with your dance partner, like Samantha and Jeff and Jensen, of course, was like the big fight. And I just had a blast. I loved the physicality of it. I loved throwing myself around. And I think I only had to have a stunt double for like 2 big pieces of it that they just wouldn't let me do.
Yeah.
So, but I got to do most of it, like almost 99% of it, and I just loved that.
I'm the same. I have to say the fight sequences were some of my favorites. In the last episode I did, the big, when Dagon comes, we did this night shoot for like 16-hour, one scene we were just shooting all for the whole night, and my stunt double, I said, you know what, I think I could do this, don't worry. So what happens is she arrives and we're all blasted up again. I'm blasted up against Baby. And I do that. I said, I'll do this one. Though you can step this one out. I'll do it. And I ended up hitting Baby, rolling over and falling on the ground. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, that was so sore. So then he gets up and he's like, okay, would you want to try this one? I'm going to do it. And I was like, oh, maybe. Show me what you're going to do. And he literally stands like this, and he gets like this, and he just does a backflip in the air from a standing position and lands on his back, right? Lands right flat on his back. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm just going to sit this one out. You go ahead and do it.
Go on.
But like they're fun because they're so collaborative, and exactly like David's saying, they're like a dance. You have to be so careful with these scenes because people will get hurt. and it just ends up being far more of a dance than a fight. So what you see is...
And there's also an engineering component to it because you're piecing it together. So you're figuring out the shots and you're going flow by flow. And like when I shot the fight with Samantha in the office at the BMO headquarters, it was great because we did it all in sequence and we went shot by shot, but we had choreographed the whole thing and then we just kept moving forward and keep dancing and the camera guy dances around you. It's just like, to my brain, engineering architect brain too, like I just loved it. I just loved the science of creating this like magical moments, you know? That's why I love this job still.
Yeah. Great question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. If you could change one thing about your character via either the arc or how they end up dying, what would you change?
Adam.
That's a good one for you, my friend.
Like I said, eyes in the back of my head, but like, you know, like it just... what would I've changed? Like seriously, like I'll try and take this question seriously rather than bitch about you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I would like if Mick had more of a stronger kind of physicality about him. I think if he was more, you know.
But that's you wanting to.
That's me. Yeah, no, that's exactly me. Yeah. Not
the character
the show,
per se,
yeah.
right? Yeah. It's always a tough one because, you know, the writers are our masters. They're our gods. They're our Chuck. You know, I mean, I love that. You know, that analogy they even bring into the show, right?
Yeah.
I was just bummed. I mean, personally, this is like, I don't know if you know. You've probably read all the stories Andrew Dabb talked about, like the production things. Some people are going to hate this, and some people are going to love this. But this is actually canon, and they had to rewrite the list. There was going to be a bunch of us in Dean's Heaven in that bar, and he was going to come in. There was going to be a lot of people there. I am happy to say Catch was in Dean's Heaven.
So was I.
You were too.
Yeah.
I didn't know that because we were all kind of had to keep it mummed.
Well, because Jensen was
That witch is so great.
Yeah, and he was like, "Look, I don't think this is going to happen now." And
I didn't even know, man.
Yeah,
That's great. Oh, how great would it? Because then the whole plan had been, so yeah, Bobby's going to be outside on the stoop, and then he was going to go into the bar, and then there was going to be all of his favorite people, or that meant a lot to him along the way. It was going to be this great montage, everyone having a great time drinking in this bar, and then on top of it, the CW was going to throw a big farewell party in Vancouver and fly us all up, and we're all going to drink and eat and have a great time. Guess what happened? None of it.
None of it happened.
Boo!
You guys were cheated.
So the actor and the character, you're just like
Both lost out.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
But as you said, at least the latter part of that, we can still exist. We can still do. We'll go for dinner tonight, for example.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
hang
yeah.
out
No,
and
I mean,
stuff. And it's so funny because this show.
The camaraderie of the cast is just spectacular.
It's incredible.
We're so fortunate.
You know,
So fortunate.
Yeah.
we're really lucky.
Great question.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi.
Hey,
Hey.
what is one strong opinion or belief that you have that has absolutely no importance to anything?
I have an irrational hatred of edamame.
Really?
Oh. Warm edamame or cold edamame?
Just
or?
why are you here?
Why are you here?
Get your beanie, legume, salty, hairy little nut pile out of my mouth and off my table. I have no space for you. Totally irrational. Why would I be so angry at edamame? They're just a cute little bean.
I got to admit, I didn't think they were going to have like off-the-cuff answers, but I'm really impressed that.
And I'm sorry to say mushrooms.
Really? What?
Fucking hate mushrooms.
What?
And it's like, yeah, right? Like, the texture. What the fuck?
Hey, but
is that?
Adam, you're such a
Rubber.
This is so hard for me to process because you're such a fun guy.
Yeah. Well, unless they're magic. If they're magic, then we might make a special exception.
Little psilocybin action.
Yeah.
There you go.
A little microdosing. Sorry, that's really inappropriate. But are there any kids here today?
Yeah. I think they sign waivers now.
Hello,
It's
child.
allowed to-
You're good. You're good.
How old are you? Sorry, I don't need to shout. You need to shout. Sorry. 14. You're basically an adult. You're all right.
Yeah, you're. Okay, well.
Yeah, mushrooms freak me out. Like, really.
Mushrooms and edamame. Thank you for that. That is something I didn't know about either of you. So, hello.
Hi. I was asking about, you obviously don't have accents in like real life. Like, how long did it take you to like perfect the accent? And like, did you have to Like,
Well, well, hold on a second. Let's go to the beginning of your question. We don't have accents.
well, I mean, like, you don't have the same
We don't have
accent.
American. We don't have the accents that we're using in the show.
Yeah.
Right.
I choose to speak in robotic binary most of the time. You'll
Like-
just see zeros and one bleeps coming out of my mouth.
I always found that it was like, for me, growing up in Ireland and having the UK on our doorstep, it was probably easier for me to do Cockney. Like I can run in and run out of it pretty easily, right? But if I was to do like American or Texas, like
You've
another
been
show,
working hard on a Texas accent.
yeah, you have to, like, I really have to work hard on the phonetics and breakdown and everything. So, and what David did, oh, well, I'm not going to steal you can describe it, but I didn't know what David's real accent was until
The end of season 12.
End of season 12.
I did this weird actor thing where luckily I have like I based my accent based on a very beloved uncle who's an actual true English gentleman, one of the last few with a proper received pronunciation accent. Oxford, Cambridge, and all that sort of thing. And so he actually has quite a chin wag. He literally is right. Good,
Jolly hell.
right, yeah. No, he says, no, cheerio, good, pip, and all that, right.
David, how are you?
He literally is a chin wagger.
He's
as
got a
they say
mouth
in
full
the
of
UK.
marbles.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what he said.
right. And so I wanted to take him down a notch, and then I sort of married him with what I call the Americanized RP of James Bond's Roger Moore. And so what I did is I did a dialect tape, and I would have it in the car, and I just, as soon as I showed up on set, I was this posh, toffee-nosed, want to punch me in the face little prick. So I just stayed in it, and the thing with accents, and we're always going to trip up because it really is muscle memory and tongue memory in the mouth. So the jaw and the tongue and the tip of the tongue, the lips, the teeth, you really have to stay in it for a long time for it to become habitual. And I can already feel myself losing it a bit right now. I'm sort of slipping into my natural accent.
Are you
if
from
you can hear
Pakistan?
that. What?
Are you from Pakistan?
Whoa. So yeah, I really just tried to drill, and just let it be a habit. And so I didn't have to think about it, like you said.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to think about it. I wanted to think about everything else but the voice.
Because, like, authenticity is key in any of these moments. Like, and if you're doing any of these characters and it doesn't feel authentic, like, we've all, as actors, watched shows when, like, Tom Cruise in Far and Away is possibly the worst Irish accent there ever was. Like, it doesn't mean that I dislike Tom Cruise for it, but it does bring you out of the movie. It brings you out of that, like, magic that you're trying to create. So
apparently Kristen Stewart's turn as Diana, she worked on her Diana accent for a year, and it's supposedly supposed to be spot on. But again, Diana had this really weird hybrid posh accent too.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, all accents are kind of hybrids too, so you gotta have to pick a lane and just commit.
Yeah,
Great
great
question,
question.
though. Great question.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Hi.
My question is for David. At the last convention, you showed up in head-to-toe white covering,
hell yeah. Didn't I rip it off you?
and then you ripped it at the crotch and took it off.
In
Yes.
Las Vegas, I showed up in full hazmat gear, just let you know. And guess who was ahead of the curve? This guy. People were laughing. Oh, Dave's making jokes. Am I?
You were spot on.
I was just wondering, how hot was that, and how did you find that when people couldn't even find toilet paper at that point in time?
Well, he used the suit.
We weren't in the toilet paper buying frenzy yet. We're in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you were.
Well, maybe.
Well, and my question is for you.
When we got home,
My
all the
question
toilet
for you
paper
is,
was gone
how
in
hot was
the
it?
Yeah.
in the entire county. Everything was gone when we got back from Vegas.
It was my favorite thing to do was rip you at the crotch.
Well, yeah. But then I had to duct tape it for photo ops. I think there's some people who have photo ops at Vegas with my hazmat suit duct tape across the nethers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Those are collector's items. No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So my question is for both of you. We saw both characters go into the transformation from pretty much evil to good. Which one did you both prefer playing?
I definitely the good guy. I loved it in the end, simply because you have a love for the show, and so you like, I don't know. I really bought into the arc they wrote for me, and I liked the way I liked where he ended up. I thought it made sense. So, like, yeah, it would be hard for me to say. And I don't think that Mick was ever evil. Like, you know, I just think that he was perceived as being evil because, you know, he had a different philosophy. We both did a different philosophy than the Winchesters, but it was only because Mick bought into what they, as I was saying earlier, bought into what they were doing that he was able to change. So, like, he was never evil, but I think he became a real true version of himself towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm not going to quibble with evil either. I mean, the thing is, that's your job to decide if it's evil. In his brain, it's ideology. It's religion.
Right.
I mean, he literally had a Templar cross tattooed on his hand. He thought he was doing Chuck's work, you know, for all important. But to your point, let's take that contextual judgment out of it as I play the character. Because, you know, when you play the character, you can't judge it, right? You can't say this is good, evil. This is a guy doing his work, right?
Yeah.
But to your point, the badder they made me, the more fun I had. The more of a dick I was, because I try to be a really nice person in real life, but the more of a prick douchebag I could be. You know it's not true, sweetie. Thanks.
Great question.
Great question.
Thank you. And I don't hate Mitch.
Well,
Mitch.
I don't even know who Mitch is.
She just said Mitch.
It is fun to play someone so different from yourself, right?
But isn't this why we do this? Isn't this why we do this? It's like, wow, I get to inhabit this person that I would. There's no part of Catch that I would ever do, except wear a suit, maybe.
Yeah.
And even that, like, you know.
Well, you do rock a suit.
Well, I try.
Doesn't he?
Yeah,
Thank you, brother.
you look fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
that's so interesting.
It's all thanks to this show.
And I think there's a level of freedom you get from that, like, you know, because you're playing, like, you know, and they always say when you're auditioning for something or you've gotten a new role to try and play it the opposite of the way you perceived it in the first place. Yeah. Just to find different ranges in there and to find like different things, and you're amazed at what you find by, you know, if you're playing a divorcee in court or something and you play it real happy like a comedy, you find stuff in there that you can use. And so I think when you're playing against playing a character that's really the opposite of what you're like as a person, you end up doing things that someone cast who is more like that character wouldn't do. Yeah. And that's what life's about. Life's so full of nuance and change and stuff like that.
And
so
playing opposites, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they say the one thing you can't control in life is your emotions. So you never know how you're going to feel in any given situation. Hi.
Hi there.
Hi there.
Okay, Mick got done wrong. I just have to say that right now.
Thank you.
And David, will you? Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, David.
Wrong.
Finally.
Wrong. Okay.
God, finally someone said it. Sorry.
It's okay. It's just silly. I'm just going to be silly.
Good.
I love it.
David, will you say chupacabra?
Chupa.
Chupa, 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 chupacabra. Chupacabra, chupacabra.
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 Thank you.
Are you happy?
You're welcome.
Good. Hi.
Hi. My question has to do with going from bad to good as well, but more on the fan side. Do you guys have any stories about that? Like, did you see a difference between the feedback from the fans from when you went from bad to good?
Definitely.
Well, do you have any stories?
Well, there's some people who were just like, definitely love or hate my character, you know, like for sure, never gonna, like I would get people at the table, I'm never gonna forgive you for that death. Great. I'm glad you're so invested. Yeah. God bless. Well, no, and I mean, I'm not saying that patronizingly. I mean, like, you're so involved in the show. That's amazing. What a gift to be so invested in your entertainment, right? Yeah. But I would, you know, and people would like, it was always mostly with a wink. There was never really someone who was like, I think you're a bad person and I hate what you do, to my face.
Well, they definitely said it at my table.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. It's called the internet. But then you could see over time as they were giving Catch a redemption arc and making him more friendly. Like, you know what was a big turning point for me in terms of like the fans' acceptance of the character was when Dean and him go on the hunt to the AU world, and we're in that white snow, and we go on that adventure together, and I save his life, and we are more buddy-buddy, and we kind of have that moment of like, you know, commonality. Yeah. That you could definitely feel like more people coming to the table. Be like, okay, I'm gonna give you a pass, man. Like, all right. You know, Dean says you're okay. You're okay, Mark.
That's exactly.
I got the Dean bump, basically, is what happened.
Yeah.
How about you?
I don't know. Like, you know,
Well, you were about to. That's the thing. That was the dramatic thing. You were about to switch to the other side. You were about to collaborate. You were about to be Team Winchester, and then something happened.
Something happened. Something unforgivable. But I got a lot of support, I suppose, from the fan base. A lot of support.
Oh, you got so much love
because exactly where he was in the show, where he was in his transformation or whatever, and it was just abruptly cut short. And it was good because and it was also fun because when we were, by the time the show finished for me, we had already done some conventions at that point, and myself and David had started doing these panels together, and we riffed with each other a lot. So like there was a lot of banter that we could have with the fans, and it really kind of, I suppose, brought my character. I only did 7 episodes of the show, but it brought him to the forefront, and because of the banter that myself and David were having, at least at the convention.
And that's what's been so nice about this incredible offshoot, which is basically a form of improv sketch. Live theater, and the fact that Adam and I just got along so well off the top, like it was just so fun to be able to have this and bring this second side, like another kind of shtick to the fandom, which has been great, like doing the creation stuff and going abroad and stuff. Like it's just it's so nice that you guys have such a love for the show that there's all this other beautiful entertainments that we can have in camaraderie. So and we see it. It's really nice.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, thank you.
And we have just a few minutes, so we should be able to get to both you guys. We'll take you first. Hi.
Hi. Question for each of you. Adam, aside from Ketch, who would you have wanted to fight?
I would like to have given Dr. Hess a good run for her money. I would like to have, listen, I don't think any man should hit a woman, but
she was no woman.
She was no woman. She was evil. Now, she deserved to get a good right hook, I'd say, She's
also an abuser. Let's not forget. Let's not Dr. Hess off the...
She had me kill my best mate, and I think she deserved it. And by the way, she was a phenomenal actress.
What a wonderful person.
Wow,
you want to talk about the difference between character and actor?
She's so lovely.
She's fantastic.
And then she would switch it on, and she was really, really evil. In that scene at the end, my last scene before Dave shoots me in the head, she was just on fire that day, and she was really evil. And as an actor, that just makes it so much easier then to respond to that, to be the other person in that dance ensemble.
Yeah.
How about you?
I would have really liked to have had a scene with Pellegrino, a little Lucifer catch action, one-on-one. Yeah. I think that would have been really fun. Have Lucifer really beat the F out of Catch. I mean, Jeff and I have become really good friends too, but it was as a result too of that fight scene. We had so much fun on that fight scene, and just him kicking the poop out of Catch. Great question. Thank you.
Thanks,
and the last one here. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Hi.
Hello.
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 It's actually rather comical that you had mentioned Bond, Dave. I was just wondering 2 things. One, if you'd ever consider being Bond.
Oh yes, I've considered it.
Barbara Broccoli. Barbara Broccoli keeps
I've also considered flying to the moon.
Thor. Barbara Broccoli keeps blowing up my email. I don't know.
I'm just waiting for the call.
Yeah.
Well, you'd be a good one.
Well, thank you. That's actually very...
She was talking to me.
I'm so sorry.
My other question is, how do you think Ketch would have been as a stepdad to Dean and Sam?
Well...
Really bad one.
How do you think?
That would have been very interesting.
Loving. Write the fanfic now. You can find out how they got along on AO3.
Yes. It definitely would have been interesting.
Oh, I love that. Oh, can I just note this for a second? Titters and applause from the back, and then rolling groans as it got to that. I like that reaction. That's good.
Well, thank you for that. That is definitely an interesting concept. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks,
so
Derek.
much fun. Did you guys have a good time? All right, we're going to be back to do it one more time tomorrow. Please give one last big round of applause to David Haydn-Jones and Adam Fergus.
Thank you so much, guys.
Oh, we
appreciate
love
it.
you guys. So
You're
good
the
to be
best.
back. We're back, baby.
Cousins. Cousins.